Okay, so I need to tell you about a man who claimed he received signals from aliens, was terrified of women's earrings, fed pigeons on the roof of a New York hotel every single day for years, and also, in his spare time, invented basically everything that powers the modern world. This is Nikola Tesla, and I genuinely don't know where to start because every single fact about this man is either insane, heartbreaking, impressive, or all three simultaneously. So let's just go chronologically, and I'll try to keep up. Tesla was born in 1856 in Serbia, which was part of the Austrian Empire at the time, during a lightning storm. I'm not making that up. A literal lightning storm. At midnight, while the midwife held him, the midwife reportedly said this was a bad omen, that he would be a child of darkness. His mother, who was apparently made of different stuff entirely, said no. He will be a child of light. She was more right than she knew. But we'll get to that. His mother, Georgina, was genuinely remarkable. She never had any formal education. In the 1800s Serbian countryside, women rarely did, but she had an extraordinary memory and apparently invented small household appliances in her spare time. Just casually inventing things. For fun, with no engineering training. Tesla always said his mind came from her. His father was a Serbian Orthodox priest who desperately wanted Tesla to follow him into the church. Tesla had other plans. Specifically, he wanted to understand electricity. His father said, "Over my dead body will you study engineering." Tesla got cholera at 17, nearly died, and from his sickbed apparently told his father, "If you let me study engineering, I'll get better." His father said, "Fine, you can study engineering." Tesla recovered immediately. Was this manipulation? Was it coincidence? Was Tesla a 17-year-old genius who understood leverage? Honestly, probably all three. Here's where Tesla gets genuinely fascinating and also genuinely strange. Tesla had what today we might recognize as a combination of extraordinary gifts and what sound a lot like OCD, eidetic memory, and possibly synesthesia. He could visualize things with extraordinary precision. Not just sketch them out, he would build and test entire machines in his mind before ever touching a physical component. He'd run them mentally, look for the flaw, fix it, rerun it. The thing that gets me is that he said when he was done mentally designing something, he could close his eyes, let the imagined machine run for a week, then mentally inspect the parts for wear. That is either the most impressive thing I've ever heard or he was making it up, and given his track record, I believe him. He also had some, let's call them interesting quirks. He could not stand the sight of pearls. If a woman he knew wore pearl earrings, he would send her home to change. Just go away, come back without those. He was obsessed with the number 3. He would walk around a building 3 times before entering it. He would calculate whether hotel room numbers were divisible by 3 before agreeing to stay. At one point, he refused to eat anything that wasn't specifically prepared by the hotel where he lived and delivered by waiters wearing white gloves. He had very specific requirements about the white gloves. He also, and this is a real thing that happened, calculated the cubic volume of food on his plate before eating it. Did this help him invent AC current? I don't know, but I choose to believe yes. In 1884, Tesla arrived in New York City with 4 cents in his pocket, a poem he'd written, calculations for a flying machine, and a letter of recommendation to Thomas Edison. The letter said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, "I know 2 great men. One is you. The other is this young man." Tesla walked to Edison's office and introduced himself. Edison gave him a job. Now here's where it gets complicated. Edison was running on direct current, DC. His whole business model depended on it. Direct current works, but it loses power over distance, which means you need a power station every mile or so, which is expensive and annoying. Tesla believed alternating current, AC, was the future. It could travel long distances without power loss. It was more efficient. It made much more sense. Edison disagreed. Strongly. Edison had invested everything in DC. He was not interested in being told his entire business model was wrong. Tesla worked for Edison for a while. Edison apparently promised him $50,000 if he could improve the DC generators. Tesla improved them. Tesla asked for his $50,000. Edison said, Tesla, you don't understand American humor. $50,000. American humor. Tesla quit immediately, which is the correct response. He spent a brief, miserable period digging ditches. Yes, the man who understood electricity better than almost anyone alive spent a year doing manual labor because he had no money and no one would fund his ideas yet. Then he found investors, set up his own lab, and started developing AC power. Edison launched a campaign to destroy him. Literally, Edison and his team went around publicly electrocuting animals with AC current to show how dangerous it was. They electrocuted dogs. They electrocuted horses. At one point, they electrocuted an elephant. Topsy the elephant. At Coney Island. In 1903. I know this isn't funny, but I need you to understand the lengths to which Edison went to protect his business model. The public called this Westinghousing animals after George Westinghouse, who was backing Tesla. Edison wanted it called that. He wanted AC to be associated with death. It didn't work. AC won. Westinghouse and Tesla lit the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. AC powered Niagara Falls. It powered cities. Tesla was right. Edison was wrong. And Edison spent the rest of his life not really admitting this. Let's talk about what Tesla actually invented, because the list is genuinely absurd. Alternating current system, the thing that powers your entire house right now. The AC motor, used in basically everything with a spinning part. Radio. Yes, Tesla invented radio. Marconi gets the credit in most textbooks, but Tesla filed his patents first. The U.S. Supreme Court eventually ruled in Tesla's favor in 1943. He had been dead for 7 months by then. Classic. Neon lights. Fluorescent lights. Remote control. He demonstrated a radio control boat in 1898, and the audience thought it was magic or that there was a trained monkey inside. There was no monkey. He also had ideas that were decades, sometimes a century ahead of their time. Wireless power transmission. A global communication system that sounds remarkably like the internet. Radar. He proposed it. The military ignored him. A death ray, which sounds terrifying but was apparently just a directed particle beam. He never built it, or so he said. He also once created a small earthquake in his Manhattan laboratory by accident. He had built a mechanical oscillator to test resonance. He attached it to an iron pillar in his building. The vibrations transferred through the building, then through the ground, then through the entire neighborhood. People's furniture was shaking. Chandeliers were swinging. Police arrived at his lab. Tesla smashed the device with a hammer before they got there. It's okay, officers. Nothing happening here. This man was a menace, and I mean that with the greatest possible respect. I have to tell you the sad part because it's real and it matters. Tesla spent his whole life being brilliant and being robbed. Edison took credit. J.P. Morgan, who had funded him, pulled his funding when it became clear Tesla wasn't building what Morgan wanted. Westinghouse, to survive a financial crisis, asked Tesla to give up the royalties on AC current that he was owed. Tesla gave them up because he trusted Westinghouse and didn't want to see the company fail. Those royalties would have made him one of the wealthiest people in the world. Instead, by the end of his life, Tesla was living alone in a room at the New Yorker hotel, feeding pigeons on the roof, largely forgotten by the public, heavily in debt. He had one pigeon he loved more than the others. A white female pigeon. He described her as having eyes like jewels. He said, "I've been feeding pigeons for years, thousands of them. But there was one, a beautiful bird, pure white with light gray tips on its wings. She was different. She knew me and I knew her." He said when she died, he knew his life's work was done. He died in 1943, alone in room 3327. Of course, it was divisible by 3 at the New Yorker hotel. The FBI came immediately and seized all his papers and notes. They said there was nothing of value in them. Some of those papers have still never been fully released. So here's what I want you to take from this. Tesla was weird. Genuinely, magnificently weird. He calculated the volume of his food. He walked around buildings 3 times. He hated pearl earrings with the passion of 1,000 suns. He was also one of the most important inventors in human history, who died broke and alone while the entire world ran on his ideas. He didn't have great PR. He wasn't good at playing the game. He trusted people who didn't deserve it and gave away things that should have made him rich. But he also gave us light, literally. And maybe there's something worth sitting within that. The person who understood electricity better than almost anyone who ever lived spent his last years feeding pigeons on a rooftop in New York, happy to see his favorite bird. He was a child of light. His mother was right.